back then I was wondering that do we actually make a difference? Do we actually make a decision that is not affected by our past or by hormones? Or we can say, do we make a decision with our free will? Do we or do we not? So I guess no, we don't. That's no chance, and nobody ever does. No shit. Nobody can outrun the the two main factors, or two main and only factors that that we have: humans, animals, or anything that behaves, even aliens, whatever they are. So these two things are: number one is experience. So experience is what actually helps us in every decision. I will give you an example. Let's say we decided to go to the club. Just a random example, okay? And you know, if our past experience with the clubs is following that, last 10 times we went to club, we got drunk and I got sick, then this is definitely making a change in my present decision. That I know that I might get sick, then I subconsciously summarize that what is the chance that I get sick, and if I get sick, what is the chance that I will have enough fun to compensate the sickness. Now, depending on the previous experiences, if this ratio um, is so that sickness is mostly bad compared to the pleasure, maybe I will not go to the club. I say maybe because it depends on my character. My character can be like prejudice, maybe, or maybe my character can be opposite of that. So this will also dictate me to make a decision. Maybe this time, maybe that's what myself is telling me. Maybe that's what character is telling me, that maybe this time it will work because I have like prejudiced character or stubborn characteristics. This character will dictate me. This experience will dictate me, and uh, and my decision is already not very like genuine. It's just a calculation of my previous experiences and my character. Now, I'm partly describing the first part, and the second part is genetics. What I have already when I'm born. Now, genetics make a difference because genetics define my hormonal state. Now, in future, in past, they mostly define my hormonal structure. So if my hormones are maybe making me feel nostalgic, maybe I can go to the club because I want to remember how it was last times. Maybe my hormones are aggressive, and I don't know, it might trigger something else. In general, hormones are very important because in the same situation, two people perceive things differently because they have different hormonal states, and of course they have different past experiences. And this first I mentioned hormonal state, that is very important because if you are in period of, things feel different. That's a very straightforward example. If you're in period, they are just different. You're more sensitive. That affects your decisions. It affects your mood, your character, your all of those shit. Everything is interlocked. So these hormones are interlocked with experiences that you perceive. The experiences affect your new experiences and also affect your hormones in future. And these two things affect your character affects your relationship affects your experiences and your hormones, and everything that you can name, they are just interlocked, connected somehow with these two things, genetics and experiences. So every your parameter, your property is connected to those. And then how can you say that you, the decision you make is out of free will? How can you even try to have an illusion of that, while you know that if everything is connected to only these two things, and these two things are not the things you define by yourself, then how can you even try to have an illusion of that? So no chance, man. It's impossible. Everything is based on our genetics, everything is based on our experiences, and this is what we are. This is where all decisions come from. Now the question usually arises after this kind of discussion is, then if that's so, if everything is predefined already, yeah, by the way, we do not even need to mention God here. It's just the nature. Nature, that's the way it is. We don't even need that God knows everything. God does not. But somebody who can execute an algorithm that has this many inputs and calculations that we have in our head, then this algorithm knows the answer. It knows everything in the future. Like, the complex algorithm that is very difficult to write, that can predict the weather. There are so many data inputs, like so many. It's very hard to predict precise data. And there are even more data inputs in our human psychology and behavior. And if there is a guy who can write this difficult algorithm, then he can guess what your grandchildren will do in their 80s. So that's how it works from my point of view. So that's about the free will, about the decision, about what we are, and what we behave. And now let's go back to the question that usually arises after this kind of discussion: is if all of these things that I do is not up to me, it's up to some other factors that I can't control, then if I commit a crime, why do I get punished? Now, my answer to that is the only reason people get punished, and they should get punished, is to give them a different experience so they can harm no people afterwards. That's the only reason. That's another experience you earn by yourself. Not by yourself, obviously, but by nature. That's another experience people give you. That's the way it is. And you don't have the responsibility because of that, because it's not your decision to commit a crime, but that's the way society works. Society tries to give you a kind of experience that will stop you being a bad person, and society tries to avoid you while you can still harm some other people, so they get you to the prison. So yeah, you are not responsible, but prisons do make sense, and they are necessary. just for an experience. That's it. There's nobody there to blame. There is no bad person or good person. That's just the way it is. That's how we live, and that's how the animals we are. No chance for a free will.